So today we're going to talk about the fungus among us. It's always a juicy conversation. It has a little bit to do with scope of practice, right? We have people who join our webinars from all over the world. And what someone's doing maybe in South Africa or Belgium or India might look different than what we're doing in Calgary, Alberta, or in North Carolina or somewhere in the States. So I just want everyone to kind of keep that in mind, that what is considered within the scope of practice or not scope of practice varies where you are in the world. So this is a very informational presentation, and I hope you enjoy it because we really get into some things that we see in a very, very common foot care conditions that we bump into, not just fungus. So as always, we're going to do a little presentation. I'm going to talk about skin on the feet, why it's different, why do we see some things, and then we're going to get into some really interesting photographs. So just to let you know, I don't think anyone here is sensitive or delicate that way. We work with feet, right? But there's going to be a lot of before and after photographs. So be aware, be prepared. If you've got your coffee or tea there, set it down for a moment. We'll get into it. So it's Nikki Fraser here for FOOTLOGIX on a Monday morning, and I'm thrilled to share the fungus among us. Our objective today is to recognize fungal issues and to recommend a FOOTLOGIX product that can help us achieve some transformational results in restoring foot health. We're going to talk about what we'll cover, right? Skin of the feet. Foot care essentials. I'm going to talk about recognizing common conditions and recommending foot care products to our client. How do we assess the skin on the feet? What are we looking for? We're going to talk about some of the most common skin and nail issues that we bump into. And then from there, I'm going to talk about FOOTLOGIX antimicrobial products. I'm going to talk about some of the complementary products that can assist with these conditions as well. And then I'm going to talk about our quarterly promotion. I just pulled one out. It's so good. So starting with skin on the feet versus skin on the body. So this is really probably a review for anyone who's been here before. There's a few slides that we usually do a quick review of. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this slide as much as the rest of us do. This really shows how the skin on the feet is so different than skin on other parts of the body. Specifically, the stratum corneum, the outermost layer of the skin on the feet, and palms of hands, I might add, it's so thick compared to the skin on the body. The stratum corneum on the body, much thinner. When we're also looking at skin of the feet, we have this extra layer. This is called the stratum lucidum. So the skin on the feet has this very thick stratum corneum, that thick outer layer, plus it has this extra layer that this brings the strength and the resiliency to the skin on the feet and the hands. The other thing, let's look at the skin on the body for a moment, right? There's hair. Whether it's fine hair like on the face, maybe coarser hair like on our arms or legs. But where there's hair, if you follow this down, this hair follicle down around here, you're going to find a sebaceous gland, an oil gland. And the body is secreting oils or sebum to help protect the skin and hair. That's not happening on the skin of the feet. The skin on the feet doesn't have any hair, doesn't have any oils being secreted. What we have are a lot of these sweat glands, right, or sudoriferous glands. We have about 2.5 to 3 times as many sweat glands on the bottom of the feet as we do on other parts of the body. So start to put that together. What does that mean? It means the skin on the feet is we're excreting a lot of sweat. We're excreting a lot of waste. If you think about the skin as the body's largest organ, secretions of oils, where there's hair, protects the skin. Skin on the feet has an abundance of sweat excretion, right? Waste leaving the body. The other interesting thing about feet is, besides the fact that we're excreting so much waste through sweat, we typically put on socks and shoes, which typically crunches our feet up, right, up into those shoes. And then it's a dark, warm, moist environment. Think about what kinds of things thrive in a dark, warm, moist environment like a shoe. So is it any wonder that we see so many conditions on the feet that we just don't see other places? The physiology of the skin is different. The environment that we're putting the foot into is different. Dry skin is one of the most common conditions we see on the skin of the feet. And it starts, as we saw, because we're not secreting any oils to help protect that skin. But there's more to the story, right? Let's talk about lifestyles. We are busy, busy, busy. We are go, go, go. We may or may not be eating well. We may or may not be getting the exercise we need. We might be taking some medications. All of these kinds of things, just modern lifestyle, it impacts us systemically, our whole body, and it can impact our circulatory system specifically. And we can see this, we can see venous insufficiency. This is where the veins are starting to break down and we're not moving waste along out of the body as efficiently as we could. That's impaired elimination of metabolic waste. This is a result of poor microcirculation, and that poor microcirculation, now it's a bit of a cycle, that actually impairs sweat production even further. So not only is the skin on the feet not secreting any oils to help protect itself, it's also not even making as much sweat. We've got decreased dermal moisture, and that's essentially dry skin, microlesions, right? The skin at a microscopic level, it's not healthy and hydrated and intact. It is dry, and this is exactly how infection can set in. You know, dry skin can result in a lot more, right? The results are in. It's a lot more than dry skin. There's this rough, scaly, flaky skin. You might see some, buildup of dead skin. This could be a blood supply for a wart potentially, verruca. You might see a fissure, right? If we don't address this kind of superficial roughness and dryness, it can progress to further conditions, to worse conditions like this, where the skin is even thicker and heavier and cracked. It can lead to a fissure. If you have a fissure like this is painful. There's also opportunity for infection to set in, right? We see people here just not getting that foot care. So there's a lot more going on than just dry skin for a lot of our clients. So all that said, what does effective skincare of the feet look like? We know the skin on the feet is different. What do we need to take care of that skin? We should look for things that help enhance the function of the skin. It should be adding moisture into the epidermis by delivering ingredients into the layers of the skin. And we saw how thick that stratum corneum is, right? We need something unique and different to be able to get active ingredients into all those layers of skin. It shouldn't seal the skin with anything occlusive. It should not have any mineral oil or petrolatum derivatives, right? That is not what we want to do with the skin on the feet. The solution for our at-risk clientele, of course, is FOOTLOGIX Pediceuticals. This is transformational foot care with our dermal infusion technology, our mousse delivery system that gets these cosmeceutical-grade ingredients into all the layers of the skin. So what is this dermal infusion technology that I'm speaking of? It's this right here. Is that we talked about how thick that stratum corneum is. Most products are sitting on top of the skin, maybe penetrating one or two layers, but is it really getting the job done? Not so much. This is what's unique about FOOTLOGIX, this dermal infusion technology, this mousse delivery system. It gets the active ingredients through all these layers of the stratum corneum, past the stratum lucidum, into the stratum granulosum and the stratum spinosum. All these layers collectively, this is known as the epidermis. So traditional products sit on top of the skin. FOOTLOGIX is going to get into the layers of the epidermis, getting these active ingredients to the base layer of the epidermis and healing the skin from the inside out. Our products innovations, there's several. So we have our advanced technology, this mousse delivery system, this dermal infusion technology that delivers active ingredients into the skin. All of our products help to create a protective barrier, but still allow the skin to transpire, right? It's not occlusive. Our products have state-of-the-art foot care ingredients, things like urea, which attract and hold moisture in the skin. CoQ10 helps support the collagen and elastin production in the skin. Spirulina, this is a unique antimicrobial ingredient, powerful antimicrobial ingredient that is just only available here at FOOTLOGIX in a number of our products. So these are very helpful ingredients as we start to look at these very specific conditions today. So what about unique selling proposition? For me, that's why FOOTLOGIX. What's different? I love we recently updated this. Foot, our unique selling proposition is foot, right? Fast absorbing with no greasy residue. Let's do a demo of that, should we? We should. Occlusive free. This is a non-occlusive product. It's the world's first and only pediceutical foot care line. And our technology, of course, our revolutionary dermal infusion technology. I want to show you what that looks like. Every bottle of FOOTLOGIX mousse looks like this. We give it a shake. I like to put the lid on my hand because sometimes people are more visual learners, right? That I could tell you to use a walnut-sized or lid-sized amount of product, but showing you is where it's at. I gave the bottle a good shake. Bottle's upright. I'm dispensing a small walnut-sized amount of product, which is about the size of the lid. Maybe I was a little generous there. There, that's a little closer. And I want people to see it's a light, fluffy mousse product. Maybe you've never seen a mousse product for skin. I always think about it because I have curly hair, but this is an excellent delivery system to get active ingredients into the skin. And often as people are using this and trying it the first time, they might do this and notice doesn't really have a cell to it, and they're going to notice how quickly it penetrates into the skin. Just that fast. I don't have to wait. It's light, it's fluffy, it penetrates quickly. I could put on my shoes and socks right now and not worry about it. I could jump into bed and not worry about messing up the bed sheets or anything. This is what makes FOOTLOGIX different. This is this fast absorbing, no greasy residue, non-occlusive dermal infusion technology. So as we start to consider now, getting into the meat and potatoes of our presentation is talking about assessing the skin. And the technician needs to practice what we call the 3 R's. We recognize skin and nail issues, and we can use our consultation form to help us with this conversation. We can recommend the correct pediceutical home care product to address the concern that we've observed. And then on occasion, we're going to send someone to a medical professional. And sometimes this is where the conversation gets interesting for us as technicians, because when we're sending someone to a medical professional will vary from different regions in the world in terms of what we can help people with. I'm here to say there are many, many conditions that we can help clients manage if they don't have a medical intervention. So let's start at the beginning before we get into some interesting things. Some basic things I would like everyone to understand is the difference between dry skin and rough skin. So the very first condition is dry skin, and this condition is often confused with rough skin, but this is what dry skin looks like. This photo on the left, this is healthy, intact skin. It's simply dry. This is what it looks like after we hydrate it. Right? So when I'm looking at a foot before I soak it or start to work with it, I'm looking for these lines on the skin, these little striations or lines of skin. This is what a healthy skin looks like. Anytime that skin is disrupted, there's something happening. But this is the baseline. This is what I'm looking for. This is rough, disrupted skin. Sometimes people will think this is just dry skin. If you have dry skin and you've picked up a tinea pedis situation or infection, this is what it looks like. So we can file and most of this off, we can hydrate the skin, but there's still just a little bit of roughness there. And this is where we're going to start to talk about recommending a home care product to maintain this result from the foot care service, but also to prevent the infection from coming back. So here it is. I want you to see the difference between dry skin on the left of your screen and the rough skin that is on the right. Do you see the lines of the skin here? You can't really see the lines here. We see a lot of this kind of scaly looking skin. We see some flakiness happening. This is disrupted skin. a lot more than just dry skin happening here, right? So this is the dry skin we looked at. Rough skin is one of the most common foot care conditions that we bump into. Often it's mischaracterized as dry skin when there is more going on here. If you think about rough skin, think about the skin like a brick wall. And if the bricks are all intact and the mortar between the bricks, then the wall is smooth. The wall is smooth. We can see that. Nice and smooth, nice and smooth. When there is rough skin, think about the bricks. It's an older building. Maybe it's starting to crumble and fall apart. The mortar between the bricks is breaking down. And maybe there's some mushrooms or plants or some growth kind of poking through the bricks, right? So instead of the skin being smooth, it's loose a little bit, right? And things are growing up between those bricks. And that's what's causing this roughness. This skin is not smooth, hydrated, intact. The bricks or the dead skin cells have loosened up, the skin is dry, and now there is a fungal situation happening. I want to contrast this with cracked skin because some people would look at this photo and say, this is cracked heel. I guess they're not technically wrong. This is also a cracked heel. But we are foot care experts, right? We're between me and the customer in the chair, I'm the expert. And I want you to be that expert. And I want you to look at a foot and understand the difference between superficial cracking, roughness, that can mostly be filed off, versus a fissure. A fissure is a very deep crack in the skin. It's gone through all the layers of the epidermis. It might even be down to the dermis level, right? The dermal level of the skin, which is where the blood supply and the circulation is. That's why sometimes these cracks will bleed. So if you have dry skin, there's a FOOTLOGIX product for that. If you have rough skin, there's a rough skin formula for that. But if you have a fissure, we have something called cracked heel formula for that. And the idea here is to understand each of the things that you're looking at so you recommend the correct foot care product. Now this, my friends, this is the most common conditions that we bump into. But we are about to get into some other territory. We're about to start talking about some of the less common conditions we might bump into. And when we see them, the question is often, should I work on this? Shouldn't I work on this? Is this contagious? So let's talk about pitted keratolysis. This is a bacterial infection on the skin of the feet. It's caused by a gram-positive bacteria. It's usually a sweaty, moist foot, and it has a very distinct odor. You will know as soon as that client comes in and takes off their socks and shoes. The clients who are at risk for this is someone with a sweaty foot, maybe someone who wears shoes with an inadequate airflow, so the sweat is not able to dissipate off of the skin, so the foot is literally sitting in sweat all day long, and the bacteria is propagating, and this is what it looks like on the skin. Now, this condition, you can help this condition with two FOOTLOGIX products. There's Sweaty Foot Formula to help manage the moisture in the morning before you put on those boots and shoes, and Peeling Skin Formula. Spirulina, it will address a gram-positive bacteria. So using these two products, Sweaty Foot in the morning, Peeling Skin at night, you can actually help improve this condition. Now, that said, you could also send this person to a medical professional, to their doctor, for a consultation. Another skin issue that we bump into, this is a much less common condition. It's called keratoderma, and it's a thickened skin on the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. There's about several different variations of this condition, but typically this is what we see: very thickened skin, like more than average. It's usually very hard and thick and uncomfortable, and sometimes we'll even see deep cracks, like where the skin is thick and where the cracks are, they may be deep enough that they hurt, that they crack and they bleed. So management of this condition involves, exfoliating the skin, but the other key thing is keeping the skin hydrated so it's more comfortable. When the skin is hard like this, it doesn't move very well and it can be very painful and uncomfortable. By using the ultimate at-home foot care combo, we can spray the callus softener onto the skin. Let it soak into all that heavy callousing and soften it up so that you can physically exfoliate some of the skin using the FOOTLOGIX foot file. And then from there, what you're going to do is use the DD cream mousse to keep the skin nice and hydrated. This is a richer texture, so ideal for someone with really thick skin condition like this. This also has spirulina in it, which is a great antimicrobial ingredient. And I love that because it can be a really great preventative ingredient. We don't want this person to pick up infection because the skin is not intact. Another common one we bump into, psoriasis. And this, again, is a condition has a lot of variations of it. At the end of the day, the thing in common, this is an autoimmune issue, and it causes cells to multiply in different ways than typically we would see skin cells multiplying. There's many different variations of it. There's the three I want to talk about: plaque psoriasis, pustular, and nail psoriasis. And those are the three of the seven I'm going to talk about because those are the ones we see on the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the nails. So plaque psoriasis is the most common. It looks like this. On darker skin tones, it's almost kind of violet in color. On a Caucasian skin tone or lighter skin tones, they're white looking plaques like this. It's the most common. Palmoplantar pustular psoriasis. This look right here, this affects, it's literally palmoplantar, right? Palms of hands, plantar aspect, bottom of the foot. So this is one that we will see very often on the hands and the feet. So understand, this is not something communicable. This is a condition that needs to be managed. It can't be resolved, only managed. And it presents differently depending on someone's skin tone. The ideal product to help with this, again, DD cream mousse. This has urea in it, which is going to help with the cellular turnover that's dysfunctional because of this condition. The spirulina will ensure that this compromised skin does not pick up any infection. Another interesting one we see often is eczema, so dermatitis. There's a variety of manifestations of this condition, but the most common one we see, again, on the palms of hands and soles of feet is called dyshidrotic eczema. And this can be dry, itchy, bumpy, thick, leathery. Sometimes we see this skin very leathery, flaky, scaly. The immune system's involved, but not to the same extent. It's not considered an autoimmune issue. But again, this is a condition where you cannot resolve it permanently. This is a condition as your body, we're always in change and in flux. And sometimes if we're upset, we have an eczema flare where the skin condition flares up. So the best we can do is hope to manage it on a regular basis. How do we do that? We use a urea-based product like FOOTLOGIX. It's going to help encourage regular cellular turnover of the skin. Urea also has some anti-inflammatory characteristics. It's going to calm down this redness and this discomfort. The beautiful thing is we have this great new addition to the FOOTLOGIX lineup, the hydrating hand mousse. So the DD cream mousse I would use on the skin of the feet, and this has the urea and it has spirulina, which is an antimicrobial ingredient. The hydrating hand mousse also has urea and that dermal infusion technology we know and love. And it has an ingredient called Chelidonium majus in it. And Chelidonium majus, if you were to look that up, you would see in very traditional and holistic medicine that it is used to calm things like eczema and psoriasis and flary or inflammatory conditions of the skin. So both are excellent, excellent choices for this condition. So moving now from things that can be managed to things that can be resolved, right? Fungal issues versus inflammatory issues. Fungal issues are caused by dry skin and then dermatophytes. If the skin is dry, it's not intact, and this is how the dermatophytes are able to invade the skin and take hold. So this is commonly referred to as tinea. And there are many, many different kinds of tinea, but we can group them into trichophyton, mycosporum, and epidermophyton. This is the most common cause of onychomycosis, which is nail fungus. 83% of onychomycosis cases come from trichophyton rubrum. So Because there's such a common thread with the dermatophytes, there's all different kinds, but we can address them with a few simple ingredients. This is fungi. This is the kind of fungus that causes infection on the skin, on the nails, scalp, and hair. Essentially, these dermatophytes are just feeding on the keratin. So I wanted to show you a few photographs because this condition looks different depending where on the body or what the skin is where it's manifesting. So with the nails, onychomycosis, the nail has separated from the nail bed, and that's how the fungus gets in there. And typically it's characterized by the fact it is separated. This is a key feature. And then there's yellowing, or sometimes it's brown discoloration. Ringworm, as it's commonly called, tinea corpora. This is a tinea infection on skin on the body anywhere. It's called ringworm because it has a very clear ring around it. Tinea capitis, this is a fungal infection on the scalp. Now, tinea pedis, we have two variations here, and this is where it's always so interesting. Tinea pedis on a sweaty or moist area on the foot kind of gets scaly and peely and leather-like, whereas tinea pedis on a dry part of the foot is usually thick, callousy, flaky, and dry. So this might be burny and itchy, whereas this is just going to be dry and uncomfortable. So same tinea pedis manifests different depending on if it's on the body, if it's on the scalp, if it's on sweaty skin on the foot or dry skin on the foot. These are all tinea issues. Looking more to skin conditions, I want to just give some consideration, things to consider with this, is some conditions can be managed but not resolved. So things like psoriasis, eczema, keratoderma, these are conditions that just, we have to manage them. They cannot be resolved. Some conditions, they can be resolved, and that's usually going to be bacteria or fungal issues. The thing to keep in mind, healthy skin is smooth, intact, no breaks on the surface. It's warm because we're alive, circulation. It's not hot, it's not red, but we're warm. It's not too dry, it's not flaky, it's not too moist or wrinkly looking. The key thing is you can see these lines in the skin, the striations in the skin. Anytime there's a deviation from this, you know there's something happening with the skin. There's some kind of a condition. It's not my job to diagnose it or treat it. I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, but I am a foot care professional, and I definitely can recognize rough skin, dry skin, cracked skin, common conditions when I see them, and I can make product recommendations to my client to help their situation until they can get to a doctor, maybe to get some more advanced help. Let's talk about nail issues, shall we, for a moment? There's a number of them. These are three very common ones, but what about this? Wow. I saw this chart for the first time at a Foot Forward Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, and there was a podiatrist there talking about conditions of nails. And I just thought it was so interesting because out of all of these conditions, there's only one of them that's tinea. There's other things here. There's psoriasis, there's rheumatoid arthritis can impact the nails, eczema. Like there's so many things that can impact the nails. And often as nail techs, I think anytime anything deviates from healthy, the first thing people think, oh, it's fungal. And it's not, right? I think the key thing here is to understand, there's 17 situations here. How do you know what you're looking at? And the answer is we don't. We're not dermatologists. We're not skin and nail experts. I'm definitely a foot care expert, but when it comes to diagnosing, it is not my job to understand the difference between all these conditions. The thing I know is that a healthy nail is slightly pink, translucent, attached, free edge white. Any deviation from that means there's some kind of disorder going on, and it's my job to maybe recommend a product to help bring comfort until they can get to a doctor for a diagnosis. Now, all that said, I think that it's important we recognize some of these common conditions. The key one here, Pseudomonas. It was a challenge to find photos with Pseudomonas on nails of the feet. Pseudomonas we see a lot of times on the fingernails. It is also known in nail tech circles as the greenies. This is a bacterial infection, and often we see it on fingernails where a nail enhancement's been compromised and moisture has gotten in there. Now, this is a situation that can become very serious very quickly, and this is why it's important that we refer customers to doctors, to medical professionals. This would require an antibacterial treatment. Now, until my client can get to a doctor, I'm going to recommend the nail tincture, and I'm going to recommend the toenail tincture to my client until they get to a professional, because what if it's a few weeks, right? And they're doing nothing and the infection's getting worse. So I'm going to recommend the nail tincture to my client because I know that this is a product that has antimicrobial ingredients in there that's going to help this bacterial situation until they can get to a doctor and get a treatment. I also know it has avocado oil, which is going to help with the sheen and the luster, the strength of the nail. It has pathanol, right? Vitamin B, which helps with the keratin strength in the nail. Another nail issue we often see, leukonychia or leukonychia. This is white spots on the nails, and typically this is going to be from assertive manicuring or assertive pedicuring. It could be a number of other issues though. So again, we do want to refer someone to a medical professional to have a little look just to make sure there's nothing serious. But always just be super conservative with our manicuring and pedicuring techniques. And I'm always going to recommend, of course, the nail tincture to help prevent any infection from setting in here and bring the sheen and the luster back to the nail. This is an interesting set of photos here. This is nail psoriasis. And I love this photo up top here very specifically because it's often when there's onychomycosis, nail fungus, the nail plate has separated from the nail bed. So this nail plate and this nail bed, they're separate, but they're attached, right? Versus fungal debris where it's not attached. So psoriasis, this is characterized, this is a change in cellular turnover. There's an abundance or excessive cellular turnover. And when we see it on the skin, we saw earlier, it comes in these little patches, right? Where the cellular turnover has sped up. When it comes to a nail, if that cellular turnover is sped up and it's on a nail bed, then it's going to lift the nail plate. The key thing is this is attached. Right? This is not disattached. This is attached. So this debris is not fungal. This is just extra skin cells because the cellular turnover is so rapid under the nail plate. It's on the nail bed. So this is the key thing I want you to see here. And with that change in cellular turnover, when we're looking down on the nail, we see changes in texture and color. So just because the cellular turnover is there doesn't automatically mean it's fungal. It's a disrupted nail, so someone could be more susceptible to fungus, but it doesn't mean it's fungal. So this is a key thing. Again, nail tincture, this is a client at risk. I would want them to use the nail tincture until we could get to a doctor and confirm the nail psoriasis diagnosis. So again, things progress. This is what a healthy nail looks like versus as fungal infection progresses and the nail starts to come apart. So nail issues, things to consider. Just because a nail is separated from the nail bed, onycholysis, doesn't mean it's fungal. It means you're susceptible to it, but it doesn't automatically mean fungal infection. Other things you should consider: is the nail thickened? Is it discolored? Yellow, brown? Is it green? Is there debris under the nail, which we saw with nail psoriasis, versus if the nail is separated, if you can remove that debris, that's more likely fungal debris. Is the skin around the nail inflamed? Look here. Do you see how pink and tender that is, right? So is the skin around the nail inflamed? A healthy nail, here's the key thing: attached, slightly pink, translucent, smooth and free of any spots or discoloration. As soon as there's any deviation from that, we know there's something going on. I'm going to recommend the toenail tincture until my client can get to a doctor to get it checked out. So products that we want to use are going to be things that support skin and nail health. We want to hydrate the skin because we know that skin's not secreting any oils. We want something pH balanced, right? Not pH neutral, pH balanced to match the skin's natural pH, 4.5 to 5.5. Skin and nail function we want to support. We want to support that. So there's a few products I talked about today. I'm going to take a quick deeper dive on them. The antifungal and antimicrobial peeling skin formula, which we would use on a tinea pedis on a sweaty foot. It has an antimicrobial, antifungal ingredient. There is no hydration in this product. This foot is already sweaty and moist. We do not need to add any hydration to it. We simply need to get that active ingredient on there to help address the skin disruption. Rough Skin formula also has a really great antifungal ingredient, but it also has urea in it because this skin is dry with a fungal infection. So we address the dryness with the urea, and then we address the fungal issue with the antifungal ingredients. And here's what a before and after looks like. Again, this is that classic rough skin. We can see the lines of the skin, and as we move out to the edge of the foot, it becomes more rough and disrupted looking. Nail tincture. Again, this is for discolored nails that are separated from the nail bed. It has that antifungal ingredient. It has avocado oil to help with the sheen and the luster and the health of the nail. And it also has pathanol, vitamin B, which helps with the keratin. This is an odorless, easy to apply spray. There's no contact. You're not brushing anything and then putting it back in a bottle. Completely no contact. Very convenient too. If someone can't quite reach their feet, they could just spray it down onto the nail. And here's some great before and after photos. Notice that took 18 weeks. Nail issues are different than skin issues. They take much longer. You have to keep treating them until the nail completely grows out. Whereas with skin issues, typically we start to see improvement within a few days and resolution within a few weeks. If it's something that we can resolve, because we also learn there's conditions we can only manage. Sweaty foot formula, just as it sounds, helps to act as an astringent. The oak bark extract is what acts as the astringent. It tightens the pores on the feet to reduce the amount of sweat happening. It doesn't prevent the feet from sweating. We're not stopping the skin from functioning the way it should. We're simply minimizing the moisture to help create a drier environment in the shoe to facilitate healing. Sage is a great antibacterial ingredient in this product as well, because we know a sweaty foot is going to be prone to some infection. Foot Fresh spray looks like this and is an absolute delight. It is a pleasure to put this on at the end of the day. If you've been up in a pair of these kinds of boots all day long and you get home and you have a sweaty, smelly foot, this Foot Fresh feels amazing. The menthol in here just tingles and cools the skin. The tea tree is what's going to kill the bacteria that causes the odor. Shoe Fresh spray, again, has the tea tree. We're going to spray this on the shoes. Maybe we're going to pull the insoles out from our boots and spray it on there. Let them dry properly overnight. And then you have a nice fresh shoe to put your foot in the next day. Tea tree is that active ingredient. We have counter displays, and these are some of the best sellers because they address the most common conditions we bump into, many of which we saw today in our presentation. And this is the part I've been waiting to show you. This is the Q2 promo. This is exciting. We recently revamped our implement kit. This is what it looks like. It comes in a clear bag like this. And I'll just pull it out and show you all the goodness. It comes with instructions, how to take care of your implements. It's in English and Spanish and French. This is a trifold now for your implements to protect them and keep them well taken care of. You have here a concave toenail nipper. Right here, we've got our excavator tool. We've got our other pair of flat edge nippers down in here. I don't know if you can see them. They're kind of hanging out, in our nail file. And then there's this empty, lonely pocket here that is just perfect for a FOOTLOGIX foot file. Look what fits right in there just beautifully. Just like that, so that you can keep all of your implements together and protected by this little leather cover. Folds it up, keeps them nice and tidy. It's great if you're a travel service provider because it keeps everything nice and closed up and protected. Because these are our tools for our trade, right? Let's protect our investment. So this is a lovely kit. It has everything you need. And usually you have to buy the foot files separately. There is a home there, but usually you buy it separately. And for Q2, you get this $33 value professional foot file with the kit. So don't miss it. Talk with your distributor. You want to get your hands on that. We have a whole FOOTLOGIX community. We would love for you to join us in this endeavor in professional foot care. If you go to footlogix.com, you can list your business there, where to buy. There's a ton of marketing collateral in our partner website. If you'd like to sign up, images of products, product descriptions, promotional materials. If you're setting up an e-commerce website, like there's just so many resources. There's even a little education heading and a little drop down in there with several recordings of presentations such as this. You can subscribe for our monthly newsletter where we let you know about our webinars and where we will be in the world, because we travel quite a bit and come out to visit everyone. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at education@footlogix.com. That comes to my inbox, and I would be pleasure to be at your service if you have questions. Our social media has grown leaps and bounds in the last year. We've really been paying special attention to it. So on Instagram, we have FOOTLOGIX Professional, and that's for professionals like you and I. If you have received some products, or you have a great before and after, that is where we would show it off. We have FOOTLOGIX, which is more geared to our end users, our retail users. We also have TikTok, and we have LinkedIn. So wherever you would like to find us and connect, you can find us. We are everywhere. YouTube is divided in the same manner. So we have professional videos that use the professional products, demonstrating how to use them, explaining them in use, and then home care videos for every single product in the line. What's great about these home care videos, besides going to footlogix.com, if you even just buy a bottle of FOOTLOGIX, on the back here, there's this little QR code. And if you just literally take your phone to that QR code, it will take you to the page for this product, where you will find all the before and after pictures, but more important, the ingredients, how to use the product. And if you'd love to leave a review, we would love to see it. We want to tell everyone about how effective and successes that we've had using our FOOTLOGIX products. And that is it for today's presentation, everyone. Healthy, happy feet and hands is the goal. You can find us at footlogix.com. You can find me, Nikki Fraser, at education@footlogix.com if you have any questions.